Oops. Ah! Okay. One day, everything will be perfect. Again, today is not that day. Okay. I'm trying to set it up to the way I had it yesterday because I don't want this extra space in it. But how come it's not? Why all of a sudden it's being annoying? Like, ugh. Okay, that'll just have to do. Okay, so this is the sketch I'm working off of today based on the references and inspirational images that I got. And I decided to do the pose and like all the muscles and everything beforehand, so I can just get straight into the entertaining part. Because whenever I do the body, it takes a while because I'm measuring and making sure the arms and legs are positioned where they need to be and getting all the details and like a lot of the decisions. And anyone watch D'Angelo Wallace at all? Like, he's so funny. But he was just saying like, and you know, it's not something like he came up with, but how no one wants to see anatomy studies because it's kind of boring, especially like on social media. So I kind of agree. And yeah, so I just decided to do that off camera and then just get straight into the face and the clothes and then eventually inking towards the end. So yeah. And also, let's see, I tried working on Watch Me Work yesterday, and it was pretty cool. Like, the streamers I was paired with, they were nice, and it was cool talking with them. But as far as like being productive and like getting my work done, I need to cut my time short. So I'm gonna be like doing well, I guess like 20 minutes. Hopefully I can get most of the clothing and like the face done by then. And then I'll go to Watch Me Work and then stream there for like an hour or so. And yeah, let's get it started. I'm not going to show the pose, but I am... Actually, no, I am. Hold on. So... that's the screen. So this is a mood board I'm doing for today, and this is the pose I'm going off of. But there's been a theme for like the last few days. Like the first time the model was like really skinny, but I wanted the illustration to be of like a thicker girl or fatter girl, so I had to like add a bunch of like fat to her body. Yesterday the model was a woman, but I wanted the illustration to be a man, and today I want the illustration to be like of a really muscular guy, and as you can see, this guy isn't really into bodybuilding, so let's see if I can pull it off again today. If I did pull it off the other times. I think they came out okay. Okay, and I'm going with the piano arrangement again today. Okay, let's get it. It's definitely getting to that point where Inktober is starting to feel like work and not like this fun magical community event. It's like it's starting to get real now. I've been feeling really like tired. Even like yesterday, I didn't have work at all, and I didn't start drawing anything until like 5 in the afternoon, and I thought, you know, like I'd have a lot more energy, but it was the exact same thing as on the weekdays. Like, as soon as I finished the drawing around like 12, I was so tired. I browsed like Instagram for like a couple of minutes, and then after that I was like, I'm done. It's sleep time. Time to go to sleep. So, and I think maybe cuz like I mentioned this yesterday, but when I was doing the streams the first day, like I was talking and just saying a bunch of stuff. And then yesterday, like, I feel like I hardly said anything at all. Just like a couple of things here and there, and just like at the beginning. Yeah, like after a while, I'm just too tired and just want to just get it over with. I didn't start my like jar yet for saying the word like, but maybe next time. Oh, I'm really excited that today is the 7th day, because I've been posting to Instagram daily, but as far as like the other social media accounts like Facebook and even DeviantArt or Tumblr, I'm gonna do just weekly posts. And also YouTube, I'm gonna see if I can do speed drawings on the channel. So it's like every week I can do like a summary for my other social media accounts. So yeah, I'm excited for that. I grab my phone. You know, yeah, when like you do that, you grab your phone, or you go upstairs, or you go into another room to do something, and then you just completely forgot and you're just feeling dumb. That just happened to me. Oh, I don't even think I changed. I'm doing with everything through Restream, and I forgot I have to change the description and everything on that, because right now it says day 6, but it is day 7 now. It's currently 8:50 in Japan at the moment, so it is the morning. It is the next day. We're not doing a clover. We're not doing a clover, which after a closer inspection, I realized I wanted it to be clubs. Because I'm doing, like, right now, I'm going through the card suits, and for some reason, I just thought it was clover this whole time. So, like, I did a clover theme yesterday, but it was supposed to be clubs. So, yeah. On Instagram, I just put like clover/club witch. But today is the witch or wizard. You know, I don't know. I need someone else's input on whether they say if they have wizards exclusively for like men and then witches for exclusively women, or does it like not matter? I separated them, but I don't know. I told people on my Instagram and put the link in the description that I'm doing Twitch. I wanted to just experience it for like a week and then let other people know, because I low-key kind of have stage fright, not gonna lie. Like the first time someone came into my stream and started giving me or started typing comments, I was like really nervous and like overthinking things and going over my lines like 5 times. So, yeah. I think I can calm my nerves a little bit and just watch. I mean, not watch, but just work. My tactic is just to like not look at anything for like 10 minutes, and then after that, after 10 minutes is up, just take a break, stretch, and check out the chat to see if anyone's trying to communicate with me. Which hasn't really happened yet. But yeah. One day. So I think his ears should be lower. I really like this dude's eyebrows. They have a nice shape to them. Very, very nice, I think. I'm gonna try to open his eyes just a bit more. Like the, in the ref, he's like looking at his phone. But I want for the illustration for him to be looking at the camera. Or at the viewer. That's better. More appropriate terminology. So his eyes need to be open just a bit, and then it needs to be curved. I hate working on like really small details because I don't really have the luxury of just like going over it a lot. I need to be more decisive with my lines. Because after a while, I can get like stuck, and then I have to like feel like I have to redo everything. Ooh, and I think I said like maybe like 10 times in that in that last sentence. Oh, I have a problem. Okay, about to hook on to watch me work. I was hoping I'd get most of the inking done, but that was a mistake because I'm scheduled to stream on there at 7 Central Standard Time, and that's 9 o'clock for me, but it takes me like 2 hours to get the that takes so long. That's long, but that's how long it takes for me to get the pose and everything right. So I was like, oh, I have to wake up at 7, and then before that I have to redraw the concept. Like, that's pretty early. I ended up getting up at 6:30. I think I started drawing, and then 8:30 I finally finished with the pose. And yeah, it's about time for me to get on to watch me work. Watch me work. Okay, copy the link. I had a hard time doing it yesterday. Today, I think I got it. Okay, 1 minute to countdown. I think maybe I should, just the way it's angled, I think the pupil needs to be up here a little bit more. Okay. Okay, watch me work. We are live, and I have an hour. So let's do this. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. Although now that looks weird. Like, I think his eye is supposed to be up here more. It looks like they're too far apart. His eyes look really big. Alright, that's gonna be fun inking. I'm trying to have it raised, like, have his eyebrow raised just like a little bit and kind of have like the smirk thing going on. It's very subtle smirk. Okay, and onto the hair. It's fall right now, and it's been pretty cool around where I live, but for some reason, it's been really hot. So I get to turn on the AC even though it's like October. I mean, I think that's how it was when I was in California, but here it's, I don't know, wasn't expecting it. I thought it'd be a lot cooler. A lot of my characters for this challenge have had like curly wavy hair. I guess I don't really I didn't really draw it that much like before I started really taking art seriously, so I think it's just all coming out during Inktober. But I am not mad. But I think I kind of want his hair to be a little straighter for this one. Very basic hairstyle, I think. I think this part is a little too wide. For some reason, every time I do this, it's like I always have to tuck it over a little bit. And I guess I just forget every time I start a new drawing because I have to do it like every time. Except for yesterday, I was able to fix it to where I didn't have to do it, but today I'm gonna have to do it. It breaks my heart. I should write like a sticky note, just watch out for the left side. Yesterday I mentioned having a topic or a theme to talk about while I don't really have anyone in the chat, just to make it more interesting and make the audio more, what can I say, more easy to listen to, something like that. Because I've just been saying some random stuff and some of it I don't think is really all that interesting. So today I decided to talk about art education, that fun topic people like to talk about. So I grew up in the US, so that's gonna be where my perspective comes from. But let me see. My first art class was like when I was in, there I go saying like, when I was in 7th grade, and yeah, it was really fun. The first time I was introduced to the to the principles of art and design and all that stuff, and drawing from observation in different art techniques. So yeah, it was a fun class. And later I realized that they stopped the art program, or they didn't have the classes anymore. And I was really sad to hear that. And I remember around that time when I was growing up, that was a big deal. They were cutting art classes around the school district, and I think even in other parts of the country too. So it was a real bummer to hear about that, because I was an art kid. I always drew on the back of my papers, and I was excited for all the art activities. Actually, I remember when I was in elementary, and they gave out like little awards at the end, and I remember they had one for most artistic and creative, and I didn't get it, and I was so sad. I went to like this other little girl, and I was disappointed. But anyway, so in middle school I had art class, and then my high school, they still had art, but my high school wasn't the best high school, so aside from like only 18% of graduates going to college, like a 4-year college afterwards, just there weren't as many, like, I don't know, maybe, I think high school was weird because I think there were a lot of artists, but not a lot of them were in the art classes. So anyway, I was like one of the better artists in the school, and that really messed me up because that just really inflated my ego when it wasn't supposed to be inflated at that time. So yeah, I never focused on anatomy or drawing from observation. Like basically everything I learned in 7th grade I just ignored. And yeah, I just thought I was too good for references and too good for doing studies, and I only did a drawing maybe every other day, or like did random sketches, and I didn't really take it as seriously as I could have. And my art teachers, they put me in AP art, and I was not ready for that at all, because like I said, I was doing like little sketches like every other day, and I did do art 1, like the intro art class, but it was, I guess, too easy for me. And then my teacher's like, oh, you should be in AP art. And I was like, oh, okay, that sounds awesome. And like I said, my ego was pretty inflated by then, so I was just like, yeah, like, of course, like, I'm too good for these regular classes. And long story short, I didn't even finish submit my AP portfolio because I couldn't finish it. I was taking way too long on each piece, and usually most teachers, they put you on a weekly schedule, so they encourage you to do something once a week. And then towards the end, if you need to work on anything else or fix up any of your pieces, then you have time to do that. But I only did maybe 7 pieces out of the whole year. And yeah, I think you're supposed to do maybe around 20. So that didn't happen. But like my art wasn't terrible, so the teacher still let me pass. I still got an A in the class, but I just didn't do the portfolio part. So that was kind of disappointing. And to top it all off, I didn't get the portfolio in, and I applied for UCLA for the art program, and that didn't happen because I decided to wait until the last minute to upload my pictures and put in my personal statement because I thought I was able to get it done in 2 hours, and that was a lie. So I couldn't even get everything on time. I did the application part, but I had to do a portfolio for the art program, and I didn't get it in, and that was really sad because I was only applying for a couple of schools for their art program, because at that point I didn't think I wanted to be an artist. It just didn't seem like a healthy career option. And my parents didn't even care. They're just like, we just want you to go to school. So it wasn't even like pressure. It was just me not really knowing about the art world that much. And most of the programs at my school were like traditional art. There was one like digital art program where they did Photoshop and things like that on the computer, graphic design, but I couldn't do it because I was in a college prep course, and for some reason I couldn't take both at the same time. So I'm still really mad about that, but it's okay. I'm here now. But yeah, so no one really knew about like the industry or told me anything about different jobs. I think that's something that they should include more in high schools if they don't already at your school, because no one really talks about art opportunities or art careers. Like, if you want to know about that stuff, you have to just stumble upon it on the internet or have like friends who know about it. It's very quiet, I think, for a lot of young people. Thankfully, with social media and different websites popping up, more people are becoming more aware at a young age. So that's good, I think, but yeah, when I was growing up, I had no idea, so when I went into college, I applied to be a computer engineer major because I liked computers and I thought engineering sounded fun. I had no idea what I was doing when I was going into college. Like, I just know that I needed to get a degree and do some work somewhere. You know, and just like earn a living and all that fun stuff that they tell you that you need to do. So that's what I did for the first year. And yeah. Okay, so back to the story. So I decided to switch to art because I did an art. Wait, no, hold on. I was in I was in a physics class. Oh, that looks weirder than it was supposed to be. Let me see. I was in a physics class, and I was just not having it. It was so hard to get used to. So yeah, I didn't have a fun time. And like, even like, I don't know, math and science wasn't too hard, but it wasn't that fun either, and I wasn't like a natural at it. Like my main interest was art. So thinking back now, the fact that I tried to do computer engineering was very weird. And then also like after that I wanted to do computer science. Now computer science I probably could have done, but thinking back, I think I should have double majored in computer science and art. But we can't go back, so I decided to do art in the end because that's really what I really wanted to do. Like I was jealous of seeing everyone walk around on campus, you know, like with those big portfolio bags. Like I wanted to be that. I wanted to be like that. So I just like dropped computer engineering and decided to do art. However, that was a huge mistake because that program was very weird, like the art program. I remember going in before and checking out like the exhibits that they had, and I thought they were pretty cool, but I guess I didn't really look into the different art classes that they offered because they had drawing and they had painting and sculpture, but then they also had video and I think spoken word and storytelling, stuff like that. And by that time I was into digital art and seeing all the wonderful stuff on DeviantArt at the time. Like I remember like before Sakimi-chan blew up and kind of when Voice was starting to gain popularity, like mass popularity, and just like during that time. So I was like, I want to learn how to do that, and half of the teachers didn't know what a Wacom tablet was, and like a fourth or like a third of them didn't know that you can draw on the computer or use Photoshop for art. So you can just like imagine how frustrating it was to go to these classes and no one really know about the different artists that I knew about at the time, and even like know about character designs or concept designs. Like that was unheard of at my college, and by that time I was, I think, or it was 2014 and 2015, so that kind of stuff was getting more popular and more well known, and you know, people around my age are starting to work towards that. So that's something I wanted to do, and I wanted to learn about like anatomy and learn about composition and lighting a lot more, but they just didn't have those classes. And they had I think the closest I could have gotten was animation, but that was in the film major in the film department, and like I said, it was animation, so it wasn't really anything I was interested in. Like if anything, if I was doing anything in animation, like I would want to be a background artist or a character designer, even like a prop designer. But as far as like doing like full stories and storyboarding and stuff like that, it just wasn't really in my interest, so I decided to just stay in the art program, as annoying as it was. And they had a program where you can do like your own like study and work closely with some of the other artists and kind of basically just like plan your own classes, and you didn't have to go along with what they had in the regular courses. But at that time I just was not, I didn't really have a goal in mind. Like when people asked me what I wanted to be, I said I wanted to be a graphic designer. And I think it was kind of going, like I say that being a character designer concept artist was becoming more well known at the time, but I still didn't really have my head around what it actually took to get those jobs. So I was thinking like, oh, I'm not good enough to do that, and graphic designers, they make a decent amount of money, so let me just tell people that I want to do that and they won't judge me as much. So that's what I did. And yeah, I still wasn't studying as much as I did. I thought, you know, my classes were enough. I was doing work in my classes, and I was doing mostly traditional work. So like at home I would do digital painting and digital drawing, but it still wasn't enough. Like I think I completed something maybe once a month, and then when I was at home during summer vacation, I would have something like every other week. And if you're like trying to be, or even if you are an illustrator, like, you know, that's not enough, especially when you're starting out and you're still a student and you have like a lot to learn. And that's where I was, but I just didn't know it at the time. And even after I graduated, my goal was to start selling art online. And I just had no plan and no goals whatsoever, and it got to the point where like I started my Instagram and I didn't take into consideration that it takes a while. Like I heard it before, but even after like a couple of months I was like, oh, like no one's really, you know, checking out my stuff. So I took that as I'm a bad artist, and B, I'm not really good with like social media and getting all that stuff out there. So I just felt kind of defeated. And then that's when I learned more about what people were doing on YouTube and different websites where they were posting like tutorials and giving feedback. All I knew about YouTube at the time, and this was around 2016, were the different speed paints that people were putting up, and those were really entertaining, seeing everyone draw the characters and paint. I thought it was amazing. So I would watch those, but I didn't know about all these other art YouTubers. And it seems like there's a category of like entertainment art YouTubers, and then like industry and education art YouTubers, and then there's like the entertainment education YouTubers. But anyway, I found Esther Brock's channel, and I think a lot of people find out about her through her Why Your Art Sucks video. A very baity title, I think, but thankfully, you know, I was hooked in, and just a lot of the things I was feeling she mentioned, and I could really relate to a lot of the things she was saying, like how you just feel like your art isn't good enough when you compare yourself, and it's just because you're not studying and you're not really paying attention to what's around you. You draw stuff based on memory most of the time, and you don't actually go to you know, like life and figure out how things actually work. So when you're drawing, you're just making a copy of a copy, and usually, you know, like when you do photocopies, the quality goes down after each copy, and I think it's the same with art. Like if you're not trying to learn from life as much as possible, and you're not using references as much, then you're just, you know, your art is reflected in that. If you're trying to be like a realistic artist, if you're even with more stylistic things, I think it's good to study from life, but you don't have to be like, if you don't get it right, then, you know, it's okay. It's not a big deal if it's a copy of a copy. But for the most part, like, if you're trying to be like an illustrator with a more realistic style, then yeah, it's not good to copy. You need to do more life. And then once you do, you know, like enough studies, then it's not, you don't have to rely so heavily on references, and you can just like get inspiration and kind of piece things together from your own mind, because your visual library, as they say, has expanded enough for you to do that to a degree of success. And that's why I'm using references for Inktober, at least for the post. Like this stuff and this stuff is from my own head. So, but I wanted to really focus on anatomy and get that together. So I've been doing getting a lot of pose references. Let me see. I think this is coming out a little too much. But yeah, so it's been almost 2 years since I started to really study more and try to get better. And yeah, even it took me so long to decide I wanted to be an artist. Like, even up till last year, I moved out to Japan to become a translator, and my plan was to be a translator and then just do art on the side and do freelance work. But after, like, I was studying a lot, but I really wanted to get better at art, and I don't know what I was watching or how I changed my mind, but I was like, well, why? I feel like everything I've decided to do was just like for me to be able to do art on the side, like earn money so I can make art, so I have like the freedom to make art. But after a while, it was just like, how come I just can't do art full time? Why do I have to have something else? And that's when I started to look into how to become an illustrator and kind of do this more full time, so I don't have to rely on anything else. And after like 10 years of art, I finally convinced myself that I can be an artist and make money full time and have a career and all that stuff. So that's cool. I know there's a lot of people who go back and forth on whether art school is good, and I think to a certain extent I agree with people who say that you don't need to go to art school in order to, you know, be a successful artist and learn what you need to know in order to get into the industry. But there's a couple of things where I think you just have to like look maybe a little closer at. I do think it's expensive, but I think it depends on what is it? it depends on where you want to go, how much money you have to spend on education, and just how you go about it. Because in theory, you definitely can learn everything you need to know, I think, if you have the time and the resources. But you really have to look into what you need to do and have a plan. Because if you're told that you don't have to go to school and you can just like get a job and then study on your own time, then if you're doing like a couple of sketches here and there or drawing every other day, then you're gonna fall behind from everyone else. And if you're not getting critiques from other people, and if you're just doing things here and there and not having a direction, then that advice is gonna really harm you, I think, because you're just wasting your time half the time because you don't know what you need to do and where you need to go. And I think a lot of, if you do your research and actually, you know, learn about the industry, then you can piece together what you need to do and get your portfolio together, I think. And I say this, I'm still, who knows, I could be one of the people I'm talking about who's just like wasting their time. Hopefully not though. I did, I'll get to that later, but, so anyway, you have to just be strategic in what you do and how you spend your time, the way you spend your time. And also another argument I have against not going to art school is the money situation. So when I first heard people say that you can just use that money towards an art program online and get private tutoring, I thought that was great advice. I'm just like, yeah, why get, you know, like $20,000 in debt when you can spend $1,000 here or like $500 there for like an online course. But then I forgot about student aid. And that's like the only way I was able to get into college. Because like no one in my family could help me. Because, you know, college is expensive and I don't come from like a rich background, so if I didn't go to college and I was like trying to learn on my own, I don't know, I wouldn't really have that much to put into an education online for art or like resources. And even Photoshop, like I'd have to, you know, be one of those amazing fire alpaca artists. Like CT Chrysler, he's amazing. But yeah, I wouldn't have money to put in without student aid, and you can't really get that for online courses or private tutoring. And I suppose if I did end up just going straight to work after college, I could have gotten like a full-time job and then saved up my money that way. But I think it's kind of hard to save up that amount of money, especially at that age. Like you really have to find a good job and be really smart with your money. And I think a lot of people at that age some of them aren't, so you can get yourself into a lot of trouble. But I guess also just in favor of people who do say that you can get a full-time job and save up. Like, I guess saving, forcing yourself to save at the beginning is better than getting in debt and having to deal with it later. With like loans and stuff, but You just have, like I said before, you just have to be smart about it. And yeah, I think art school isn't too bad, like doing art programs, because I think there are some like public schools out there that have decent decent art programs. So you can you know, like take out or get scholarships and stuff like that, and use that money and just go to a public school for an art program. But you have to be careful, because you don't want to end up at a program like mine and not get anywhere. And yeah, I think if, oh, you know, like obviously if you have the money, then just go to like, you know, like the art center or what have you. Anyway, that's just my thoughts on education. I think in the end, it's good to, it is good to learn on your own, because I think even if you do go to art schools, you still have to put in a lot of time outside of classes and do a lot of extra work in order to get somewhere. Unless, you know, the program is really good and they're working you really hard and they know what they're doing. But like I said, just I think a lot of public schools and other programs, they just don't really do that, so you just have to be careful. Yeah, it's really hard to tell, because everyone's situation is different. I don't think like knocking school completely is right, but at the same time, you can really do a lot just on your own and studying on your own. I think when people say that you can do your own studying online, I think they should point people to different programs, like affordable programs that they know, and just come up with like a sample curriculum or like study calendar to go off of. Because I don't think a lot of people really do that. They just say like, oh, education is hard and you can do it on yourself, and they kind of like leave it at that. They might like mention a couple of people here and there, but yeah. Maybe I should check that out, see if anyone has like a complete like learn by yourself guide. But yeah, for me personally, like I hardly learned anything when I was at school in college in the art program, and most of the stuff I learned about getting a job in the career I found out through like online and like YouTube and places like that. Oh man, like, it's just slipping out so easily, sorry. But yeah. I ended up getting these classes on CubeBrush, and it's called Art School. They had a sale when I first heard about it, and I forgot how much it was, but I think it was around maybe $200 at the time. I think right now it's $500, unless the sale is still going, but yeah. I got it pretty cheap, and there is a lot of good information on the site. I think the classes are organized really well, and the videos they're really long, and there's a ton of information, and I think it's like a really good guide, so yeah, there's something you can look into if you're thinking about like studying by yourself and really trying to be an illustrator. It doesn't, I don't think it really has too much on career advice, but as far as getting your fundamentals down and kind of understanding the kind of basics of the industry standard, I think it's really good for that. It's funny, I remember when it first came out, I think it was last year, maybe around this time too, when it first came out, there's an ad on Instagram, and that's when I first heard about it. People were just going off on the comments. They're talking about how, you can't trust a school that's advertising on Instagram. And then some people were like, oh, like, do you get a degree? Like, if it doesn't have a degree, then it's not valid. And I thought that was really funny because, yeah, another good point that people say for people who are against art school, it's that you don't really need a degree for a job. There are some companies that I've heard where, I think specifically Feng Zhu, if I'm pronouncing his name right, with the American pronunciation, there's like anyway, there's like degrees of accuracy here when it comes to pronouncing names. But anyway, he mentioned that with some people, he actually does look for a degree because he wants people who have experience, who can pull from like their memories and what they've seen in the past in order to make good designs. So I guess there's some companies out there who actually do want a degree, but from what people have been saying, it's not really a requirement, and a lot of employers don't really look for it. So yeah, just the fact that people were on the ad and saying like, well, if it doesn't have a degree, then like why bother? But yeah, you don't, it's not, your portfolio is your degree, as people say. Every time that ad comes around, I always comment like, oh, I'm so excited for the new term, I can't wait to get started on my assignment. So there's like a more positive vibe, because I really do like the program and everything. I've learned a lot, like learning how to get the pose down, and just learning about like different clothing and stuff. Like the assignments that I've done from that have really helped me, I think. So any chance I get, I try to mention art school. And now even the creator, he's doing live streams and going over different homework assignments that people have submitted. And that was one thing that I was kind of worried about before I bought it, because that's really important, I think, for learning on your own, just having feedback and critique so you know you're going in the right direction. But yeah, he's been doing that recently, and I think it's been going on for a while now, maybe like up to 15 weeks in a row. So yeah, it's a good program. For this design, I was kind of going off for a warrior, but it kind of almost looks like a boxer now. Like a warrior boxer. I don't think that would really work in the battlefield, though. That seems kind of dangerous, but... yeah. Oh, okay. I forgot I wanted to add that. 7 more minutes and then I have to jump off of Watch Me Work. If you don't know, like Watch Me Work is where you get paired, you can pair up with different different artists and stream alongside them, but no one's come by, so I am by myself. I'm kind of worried when I start to ink these abs because I know I need to focus on the shadow instead of like drawing every other line, but I've never really inked abs before, so this is gonna be interesting. Alright, I think it's time for an extended break. Need to walk around every now and again. Okay, we are back in production. Okay, so that is it for Watch Me Work. I think I'll come back and do the ink process, but until now, this shall be it. Let's say I think that's it. I'm still trying to get Watch Me Work together. Let me see if it's still on, since it's still technically linked. I wonder if I'd have to like stop the stream itself and then because it doesn't say if I'm live now, but I can still see the video. Maybe it's because it's just my channel? Maybe? Let me see. If I go home, if I'm still... Okay, well, I'm just gonna keep going. Okay, I mentioned earlier that in high school, it seemed like there were a lot of people who just weren't taking the art classes, but I'm pretty sure there was a lot of talented people and even more talented than I was. But it was the same in college too, I found out, and I know even a lot of professional artists now, they didn't major, they still went to school, but they didn't major in art. And that's what it seems like a lot of people are suggesting too. Like if you go to school, don't major in art, major in something else so you have that background to put into your art. But I, you know, like on social media, there's those artists that have like a pretty good following, like up in the tens of thousands, even like the 100,000s, and you kind of look at those people and you're just like, wow, they're so cool, and like they do their posts and you actually like care about the food that they like and their favorite art supplies and stuff like that. Anyway, so I actually met someone like that on her, oh, what was her name? Vicky. Yes, Vicky Size. She went to my school and I saw her art and I actually followed her, and I met her during my 3rd year, and we're actually the same age, I think. Either that or she's like a year younger than me, but yeah. We worked on like this little, or well, not this little, it was like someone's animation project together, and she was one of the, or the character designer. And was she the colorist? No, I think she might have been the colorist. Either that or she just did the character designs, but yeah. When I realized it was her, I was like, oh my goodness, like I think I told her that I followed her on Tumblr, and or I sent her a message, but I was like really very socially awkward and still kind of am. So like I was like, I don't know what to do, like how do I interact with her, and I didn't really talk to her actually in person, which I really regret. Like I wish I would have a bit more, but like her major was communication, and if you go like check her out, her art's really good, so I thought that was interesting. And then another person I met, he was actually doing freelance and working at like a company doing art while he was going to school when I met him, and I think his name is Ming Chen. Let me see. And I don't know what he did, but his major wasn't art either. And I was so surprised. Like even in college, which, I mean, I don't blame them. Like I said, my art program wasn't the best, but yeah, that was when I like really found out like the program doesn't really make you, like you can do a lot by yourself. I guess he hasn't really posted recently, so I can't really properly say his name, but yeah, he was really good. He did all the backgrounds for that project, and they were beautiful, and his art now is really nice. I think he's like an art director now, and he's like 1 year older than me. I have a lot of catching up to do. Yeah, like thinking back now, like I was just kind of like a mess when it came to my art in college. Like, and the fact that I just thought I was way better than I actually was. Because I think the first instance of that was when I was doing beginning like painting, and like I'm decent when it comes to like observational drawing and painting, so I thought I was just like, you know, like one of the best in the class. And then I remember, because, you know, like with those intro classes, a lot of people just take it for credit because you have to take at least one art class. So a lot of people in there, they were just, you know, being introduced to art for the first time and didn't really give too much effort or care too much about the program or the class. But people did improve though, so yeah, it's not like no one cared. It was just before like coming in, they didn't do too much art before then. And there was one girl who was next to me, and that was the case for her, but she was really creative. She was a math major and she was really creative, so the assignments that she was doing were really interesting, and they actually had like a message behind them. Unlike me, I was just like copying everything I saw and didn't really care too much. But I think one of the paintings that the teacher was impressed by was this one where she had a pretty decent sized canvas, and it was a white background, and she took this plastic not really string, but like wrapping, really thin wrapping, and then she put solo cups. We had to make our own display, so this is what she did. Like, she grabbed the plastic stuff and then the solo cups, and it was kind of like something about pollution, and the composition was really good, and the way she painted it was like really nice. But you know, like, she wasn't really like into art, and she didn't really want to be an artist until my teacher convinced her. But I was like, I got kind of jealous because, I mean, she said my stuff was good, but she picked her to be in the end of the year art show for the art program. Not art program, but like the, I don't know, like at the end of every year during the spring quarter, they would hold an exhibit with all the art students, but the teachers had to pick who was in the art show. So she didn't pick me, and she ended up picking the painting from the girl, and I was like, oh no. I felt like kind of defeated. I'm just like, she is not even an art major, like, how come I couldn't put anything in? So there was that. And then I remember later on when I was in a drawing class, and it was creature design, and there was this one girl in there, and she got my nerves on purpose. Like, remember earlier I was talking about how there was 2 art programs, like the general one, and then there was one where you can pick your own classes and work with the professors like more closely, and, you know, like do more work. And she took one of the classes that I was in, and she was really good, and she knew it. So whenever we had critique sessions, like, she just really had a bad attitude. Like, it was annoying. Yeah, there was one like memory I remember. We were doing, I did this one thing where I came up with 3 creatures, and they each had different gems, and if you either if you found the gem or if you brought it to them, then they would give you a wish, but in exchange for the wish, like, something bad would happen. So you had to really like decide if it was worth it or whatever. And they had different elements kind of like that. Like, one was like a water one, and then one was like an earth type of one. But like during when I was explaining the concept, all she was talking about, I was like, oh yeah, it's kind of like Pokemon, right? Like, assuming that I kind of stole the idea from Pokemon, but I'm just like, it's not even close. Like, you don't, anyway, I can go into that, but it was just like stuff like that. And yeah, but like I said, her art was like pretty good. And I remember we had to take a field trip, and it was like not a year later, but like a quarter later. So we all took the same class again, and it was like animal design. But anyway, we were talking about that class, and then she was like, yeah, like no one really gave any effort into that class. Like no one was like, you know, good. There was only like one person who tried, and like in my head I'm just like, I tried. I actually tried to put like effort into the projects that I did and like come up with like different concepts, but you know, like apparently I didn't try, and like no one tried in that class, and I was like, wow. But that's when I started to realize that I really wasn't as good as I thought I was. And yeah, that was fun. I really learned to humble myself and learn that art is always a continuous journey, and you never stop learning and improving. I think that's a lot of people. I think that's a mistake that a lot of people make, where they think they have to study one thing once and then it's done. Like I was talking to someone here, and then they're more into like the manga Japanese style illustration, but they still do put some type of like accuracy in as far as like anatomy and lighting goes, but they haven't really like put two and two together because a lot of people don't think that you need to study anatomy and lighting and composition when you're doing illustrations like that, but you kind of do. At least, you know, like you need to brush up every now and again. So like they would make comments like, oh yeah, I studied anatomy like a couple of months ago. Like I already studied anatomy, and I'm just like, you don't, that shouldn't exist if you're trying to have like a full career, because you have to go back and brush up on your skills and keep them sharp, because it's someone, I think a lot of people say this too, like art is a sword, so it gets dull after a while, and you have to like keep sharpening it. So yeah, I think that's important. That's something that I didn't learn until a couple of years ago. I remember when I was younger, like in high school, I didn't want to do anything that had to do with planning out drawings and drawing shapes and making sure everything was structured underneath before I put in all the details. So something like this, I would just like kind of do something like that and then go back just to close the shape. But now I try to do like lines like this where I can follow along, and these will keep going in a continuous curve and not look really wonky. I'm really trying to learn how to make a structure underneath first before I just jump in and start drawing. And I think that's why some of the anatomy part takes me like 2 hours. Because I do like a structure for the head, and then I try to do the skeleton underneath, and then measure out where how tall the head is, and then measure it out for the rest of the body. So yeah, it takes a while, but I think it's definitely worth it. And hopefully by the end of this, like, doing the pose and getting the shoulders and the hips and everything won't be a big deal, because right now it's a pretty big deal. I forgot he should probably be like standing on something or sitting on something. Okay, so I'm the worst boss ever because I worked and give myself breakfast or a lunch break. So I'm gonna stop here and then I'll come back for the ink. All right.